All right, so we are live here in the WFO Racing Network. I am Matt Egan, joined by the fantastic Jacob Young, and it is championship night tonight. 4 drivers, and here are those 4 drivers that are battling it out. Ricky Fagone, Glenn Jameson, Steve Blankenship, Jared Cox. Winner takes all. Well, highest finishing order takes all in this championship battle, just like just like the normal chase format in NASCAR. And I tell you what, man, Ricky Fagone, the way he has been running this season, Jacob, I would not be surprised to see him win this championship at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. I mean, hey, you talk about how well Ricky Fagone has been doing, but the rest of the field, too, it's been the same way. And, of course, it looks like he's got a fast lap time, so he knows, of course, his way around this racetrack is with a 28.195, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a great lap there from Ricky.
Yeah, without a doubt, a fantastic lap. Hey, everyone out in YouTube land, tell us how the stream's looking. Tell us how it's sounding. We got a new setup, and we're bringing it live to you tonight. It looks like Greg Ruark doing a little bit celebratory, I guess celebrating his qualifying run as we watch these guys run here. Jared Cox looking for a good run here tonight. You know, he has had a great season, that 27 car has, I think. Without a doubt, he should be happy about how his season got. He's had a handful of top 10 finishes, good number of top 5s, too. So, maybe a win, the icing on the cake here tonight?
That is very... It could happen, is what I'm trying to say here. It's very capable of happening. It's going to be interesting, of course. He's just got to have speed, and it is a short track here at Phoenix. Very difficult to pass, so that's going to be a key. Track position will be very much as important as always.
Yeah, without a doubt, track position always an important factor here when we come to these kinds of racetracks. 14 minutes left till we go green. We'll have some driver interviews. We'll talk, of course, to some of our drivers before we go green. Of course, we'll try to talk to some of our championship drivers before we go green. That'll be an important thing for us to do. I'd love to talk to, of course, Ricky Fagone, see how he's feeling for his potential championship run. But, who would be your pick to win the championship out of our front-running guys?
I mean, out of our front-running guys, I think you said it the best. I think it would be Ricky Fagone, of course. Yes, our pole sitter, which will be Vern Bradley, is what it looks like. He, of course, decided to drop out of the championship to do a Road to Pro. So he, of course, sadly is not in the hunt for the championship, or else I'd probably go with him because he seems like he'll be very fast tonight as well with the 27.906. But yeah, for sure, Ricky Fagone, as long as he keeps it out of trouble and makes sure that his strategy is key, I think he'll really be able to do it.
Yeah, I think Fagone a good pick. I wouldn't rule out, our other drivers in this championship championship hunt. You got Steven Blankenship in that 8 car. We can't forget about him. He's kind of slid under the radar this entire championship run, and he starts 8th tonight. That's not a bad spot to be starting in. He might not have a bad chance.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with you. 8th position, yeah. Starting spot is always good. Of course, he'll have to try and pass drivers, and the key is you cannot wear out your tires. I've tried to push the car here a lot sometimes, and just after about 10 laps or so, if you push the car too hard, you don't necessarily have a lot to give right after that. So they're going to have to make sure to manage out their tires. It's going to help that it's at night here, but that's one big thing. Of course, trying to pass and having all the strategy go your way, it's going to be very difficult and going to be a little bit of a tall task, but nothing more than he could probably handle.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But one other driver we talk about, Jared Cox. He's in the running for this championship, as is Glenn Jamieson. Although I don't see Glenn on track tonight. Do you?
I don't believe I see Glenn. Well, actually, I do. Glenn Jameson, the 63 car. He has not put down a qualifying lap, though,
But he is in the
but he
session.
did
That's
put
the
down a
important part.
practice. He did put down a practice run at 28.172. So it's looking like, of course, he wants to start closer to the back of the field, which isn't too bad of a guess that maybe, of course, these drivers up front will run each other just a little too hard at the start. That's probably what he's thinking at. It's a 145 lap race too, so he'll probably think that, well, that's a big possibility indeed.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, I don't think there's necessarily an issue with not qualifying. I think sometimes it is smarter to start in the back. However, I will say Phoenix, not the track where I would do that. I think that a track like, say, Daytona or Talladega, or maybe even Michigan, is a better track to start at the back. But Phoenix, not a good track for that because it's hard to pass here. This is a track where it can be very, very difficult to pass, and it's just, why are you going to put yourself into that situation where you're starting at the back of the field,
Yeah, exactly. It's not the best situation for him indeed. Like we talked about, very difficult to pass here, and when a wreck does happen, you have a lot less space to try and avoid it. If it's near the dog leg, that's of course a different story. That's the most space that you really have at this racetrack. Good news is that there's kind of a little bit of multi-groove racing. What I mean by that it's not as difficult to pass on the high line as it is on the low line. They're kind of even sometimes, especially if you get a bad run on the inside line where your car gets tight and wants to push up the racetrack. So there is that, but other than that, of course, you have to keep it clean if you're in the back of the field. He's probably just thinking that, yes, there are going to be some cautions and I will be able to gain positions that way.
Yeah, and the problem there is if the cautions do not come, if the cautions do not come, then he is in a bad situation if he can't get up through the field of his own accord. Not saying he won't be able to, of course, but again, it just goes back to why put yourself into the situation.
Yeah, most definitely indeed. Maybe, of course, he's got some speed that he didn't necessarily want to show the rest of the field. But yeah, talking about a challenge for sure. You got one of his competitors, like we talked about, Ricky Fagonda, up in the top three, so it's going to be easier for him to not necessarily have to pass a lot of cars to stay up front. And then other drivers like Castro, Cook, even Amy and Cox and Blankenship, Robinson, Daniels, just a lot of these drivers that, well, they're very good even on long runs, and they know the types of racetracks basically where when they go to them, and it can be a little bit easier, or not necessarily easier for them, but so that's also a big thing that we'll have to watch out for is those other drivers.
Yeah, without a doubt, as I think they're just wrapping up their drivers' meeting here in a moment or two. So, of course, once they do, we will talk to some of these drivers. We'll see how they're feeling, what their thoughts are on this race. Of course, the final race of Season 5 of the K&N, now ARCA Development Series. I mean, man, it has been a great season. I think we've had one of the most exciting seasons. We've had a lot of great finishes this season, and this chase has been one to remember here. I think it's going to come down to the wire here, and I think Phoenix a great track to host a championship event at.
Yeah, it's a pretty great place to host a championship event. That is most definitely correct on that. They went to, I believe, Texas Motor Speedway last week, and then the big thing was also 2 weeks ago, to be exact. They went to Road Atlanta or Road America, excuse me. Yeah, exactly. And so that kind of put a little curveball into that whole situation and the point situation too. Of course, every driver wanting to get to the desert of Phoenix, and we're finally here. And so now it's going to be very interesting and very fun to watch.
Yeah, and let's talk to, and of course, he's kind of been in-race reporter all season, so let's cap off the season by talking to him as well. Of course, we'll talk to Ricky Fagone as well before we get started, but let's talk to Ryan W. Daniels real quick. Ryan, like I said just a moment ago, you've kind of played in-race reporter all season, man. Tell us what your thoughts are coming into the final one of the season. Ryan, you got a copy on us? All right, a little bit technical difficulties getting to that 00 car. We'll put him back down with his team, and we'll talk to Ricky Fagone, one of our championship contenders. Ricky Fagone, have you got a copy on us?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right, man, you have put on a fantastic season. No one can dispute it. And here you are with 5 minutes till we go green in the final race of Season 5. You're in the running for the championship along with Glenn Jamieson, Steve Blankenship, and Jared Cox. I tell you what, I think you've got a great chance to win this championship. But what do you think about your potential to win this race and this title?
Glad someone thinks I got a shot, because right now, the way this car's handling, I'm not liking it at all. We ran a good couple hours of practice before the race. This practice session went up and felt comfortable. Running in this session right now that we're in right now, this thing is loose. And I think the key to winning it is going to be keeping it straight, pointed forward, don't hit anybody, try to finish the race clean, and whoever wins it, wins it. I get to give a shout out to Glenn, Steve, and Jared. Final four. I know the stress level is going to be high for all of us, so we're going to go after it, go get it.
Yeah, and, you know, right now in qualifying, you look at the qualifying order, you are the highest placed chase driver, starting third. Of course, Jared Cox starting 7th place here tonight, not too far back of you. So what is your strategy from the onset of this race? How are you going to approach the start?
Well, I think just get through turn 1 and 2 and try to hang on for those initial 5, 6, 7 laps, because that thing is just like it's riding on ice. So I think if we get to that point, I think the car will tighten up, and then it's pretty much drive her a little bit harder. So that's my game plan. Try to take it as easy as I can without trying to back the field up or anything like that, and try not to get run over. And like I said, keep it pointed straight.
All right, well, thank you for talking to us, man. Good luck to you here tonight, hunting down your championship.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, that was Ricky Fagone there. We will talk to Vern Bradley real quick as well. Vern, have you got a copy on us? Vern Bradley, do you have a copy? Well, we keep striking out with our interviews. First, Ryan's not there. Now Vern, so we'll put Vern back down in his team channel. We'll try to talk to him a little bit later in the night. Let's talk to Jared Cox. We got 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes left here. We can't move him up, though, so we'll strike out again. Let's talk to Stephen Blankenship. Maybe we can get him. There he is. Stephen Blankenship is a chase competitor. Stephen Blankenship, do you have a copy on us?
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, you've flown under the radar this entire chase, but hey, that's not a bad thing. You're here in the Final Four and starting 8th place right behind Jared Cox there. What is your strategy going into tonight?
Try to keep her off the wall and keep her straight for a while is the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a big thing here at Phoenix. How has that car been handling for you? How have you prepared for this race here tonight?
The car's handling pretty good. It's a little bit loose for a few laps, but it does pretty good if you just keep it straight for a while,
And now the other big question, do you think you will win this title? I know that's probably a dumb question to ask, because I think anyone I'm going to ask of this Final Four, you, Glenn, Jared, Rick, I think you're all going to say, yeah, of course I'm going to win, but naturally I'm going to ask anyway, you think you're going to win here tonight?
No. Nope. I'm going to try to finish the best I can, though. But like Vern said there earlier, we was going to run some fun races. I thought they was all fun.
All right, well, thank you for talking to us, man. Best of luck to you on potentially winning this title here. Hey, anything can happen. It is Phoenix. It is a short track, so I wouldn't count yourself out just yet now.
That's right. I want to congratulate whoever does win, and thank you all for everything you've done throughout the year.
All right, well, hey, who knows? It might be you. Good luck to you tonight, my man.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, we'll try and talk. Let's see, is Glenn Jameson in here, Jacob? I don't see him, but he might be. I don't want to count him out if he is. Yes, he is. There he is.
All right.
Glenn Jameson, have you got a copy on us?
Yeah, 10-4. I got a copy here.
All right, well, you are one of 4 drivers making a bid at this championship tonight, and you've had a great season, kind of flown under the radar, but you've had a few breakout performances. What do you think your chances are coming into tonight for this championship?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough race tonight, I think, with temperatures and the way this track runs. It's going to be tough. We got to just take our time. It's a long race. Every one of these races is a long race. And, take our time, manage our tires. We got some good competitors out here. I'm definitely fighting for a championship against 3 real tough competitors. So it's going to be a great night of racing tonight. Just take our time, try and work our way up to the front. It's really about the last 25 laps. So if I can make it that long, then that's when I want you to start looking for me. With about 20, 25 to go, we'll see if we can make something happen. But we're just going to have a good time tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, well, how's that car been handling for you? We got that question real quick before you have to go green, because I know you guys are starting to grid up. But how's that car been handling for you here tonight?
Yeah, car's been handling really good tonight. We got, did some work on it, just kind of worked our way around the line, and worked on our settings a little bit that we could, and just feeling really good tonight. I'm feeling pretty good, so we'll see how it goes. It's gonna be a lot.
All right, well, thank you for talking to us, man, and good luck to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
What team do I put you back down into real quick?
Evolution Motorsports.
10-4. All right, and real quick, because I know we can get a chance in with him, we're going to have to do this super, super quick. Jared Cox, if you got a copy on us as you're gridding up.
I do.
All right, well, I hate to rush this interview, but I guess we're going to have to. What do you think your chances are of winning this championship, and how has that car been handling for you tonight?
Car handling is not great. To be honest, it's just it's very slick out here, even at night under these conditions. It's a very squirrely car, so my chances of winning this is 1 out of 4. I'll just throw that out there. But I mean, realistically, whoever wins this championship is the best driver out here, because it's going to take some driving to get this car to victory lane, or even the highest finishing out of us 4. It's going to take some driving to get across the line first.
All right, well, man, best of luck to you. Again, I'm sorry to have to cut this short, but I don't want to have to talk to you as you're going green, because I'm sure that wouldn't be too good for you. But,
no worries.
Best of luck to you, and, hey, who knows? Maybe we'll be talking to you when it's all said and done.
I sure hope so. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate everything you do.
All right, well, that was Jared Cox there. Those are your 4 chase competitors. We'll be checking in with all of them as this night goes on here tonight. Jacob, tell us what you think of what you expect to see.
Yeah, based on from what all the drivers are saying, yeah, it's going to be a loose race car, so they'll be battling the race car more than I believe they'll be battling themselves. So that's going to be a big thing, as well as there is a 22x limit to, of course, try and calm down with maybe, of course, some wrecks and some more green flag racing. It is a short track. It is Phoenix. People like to use the bump and run, and especially like to use the apron. They'll be saving up their tires. It might be a fuel game in the end, too, so we'll look for that in the end.
Yeah, it definitely may come down to fuel. I would not be surprised one bit if it does. And we'll see how it just all plays out here tonight. Here we go. Green flag in the air. 145 laps of action coming at you from the beautiful Phoenix, Arizona Raceway. Good start there for these guys, and it is right now, it looks like Michael Henry, your race leader. Michael Henry leading the first lap here at Phoenix. I'm not too surprised by that there. He had a good time in qualifying here, Jacob. And you see Corey Cook second, Ricky Fagone third place. We got a wreck at the back. Jared Cox, not the way he wanted to start his night. Got loose all by himself through the second corner and got tagged by, I think, the 28 Joseph Andujar. Or not Joseph Andujar, Leo Lortz. Jared gets that car going. Minimal damage to the 27 car there, but man, that is not a good way to start the night for that 27 team.
Definitely not. That's exactly what you did not want to happen for sure for Jared Cox. Yeah, some bad luck there. They were battling a loose race car. Let me tell you about the leader of what I saw. Michael Henry going into the first corner. It just looks like their cars, the back end's kind of sliding as they're turning into the corner. So it's just very difficult to control. They have to realize that they only can get on the power for so long. It's a frustrating thing, I know for sure, because you just want to go full throttle right as you feel like the car is straight. But sometimes, of course, that doesn't work. So a little bit of bad luck for him. Looks like he might be put a lap down or might stay on the lead lap. We'll have to wait and see. But other than that, we'll stay in about 15th or 16th position.
And Leo nursing that car around. You notice he's got that tire. Looks like they broke the axle. So that'll take a minute to get fixed anyhow. 145 laps of action on this table. He'll have time to get that fixed, but it's just a matter of actually getting it fixed. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Of course, I think it's almost every broadcast that I do with WFO. I believe they have a fast fix, if I'm not mistaken, so we might have to use that one instantly, which kind of stinks because you would want to use that probably with less than 100 laps to go just in case, or
yeah, unfortunately,
the end of the race knowing that, yeah, exactly, that race car is perfectly fine, but fortunately, like you said, he has to use it.
Jared Cox, I would imagine, most likely going to use his fast repair. He's out and away. Actually, I don't know if he did or didn't. Again, he had, pretty minimal damage, so I'd be kind of surprised if he did. But, who knows? We'll see when he comes by here. Take a look at his left side door panel. And looks like, no, he does not use the fast fix. I think that's pretty smart for Jared. It's early on yet. Really no need for it. Only 16 drivers in the field here tonight. So kind of about the field of a K&N Pro Series race.
So myself, well, just, of course, drivers that don't necessarily have a lot of implications in this race. I would understand why they wouldn't want to, of course, race in it. The likes of course, Aiden Young, that's a big name that is not here tonight in this race series. Once again, totally understandable, but other than that, yeah, it's just a little bit of a shorter field. It is a final race of the season, just like we said. But sometimes, of course, if I were a race car driver, or if I were racing in this race to be exact, and I wasn't in the playoffs or in the hunt at all, I would say, let me race this race and just get my momentum for next year.
Yeah, and, you learn a lot about the cars, too, just, even just by racing. Even if you're not in the hunt for a championship, you learn a lot just by racing around the competitors. Track time is a valuable resource, and it would be best to not waste it. So I really don't see the logic in saying, well, I'm not racing for a championship, so there's no point in racing. I think there's always a point in racing, just like you were saying. right now it is going to be Michael Henry, Corey Cook. I'll let you get the green here, Jacob.
All right, sounds good. Just like you said, Michael Henry, Corey Cook, and Ricky Fagon. And we're back right here at Phoenix Raceway.
Good restart there for Michael Henry, down into 1 and 2, trying to pull away from Corey Cook. Ricky Fagon, again, your highest chase driver, trying to get even higher in the field. He's battling for 3rd place. That's Leonardo Castro. Castro, and he is side by side with him off of turn number 4 to the line. Looks like Leonardo gonna hold on to that spot. Or Leandro, yeah, exactly. I'm sorry.
Exactly, a great move by Castro there, able to get it into 3rd position. Of course, it looked like just a little bit. Of course, they were battling for that position, but it looked a little bit more like Ricky Fagon was going to let him have that position because it is still early in the race. And just like I said before, you don't necessarily need to burn up your tires by trying to battle somebody.
Yeah, we're only 9 laps into this race. It's 145 laps, and, you know, granted, Phoenix is a short track, but that's still a decent length race. And as you said, you don't need to burn up your tires. And who knows, we might go on a long green flag run here, so you definitely don't want to burn your stuff up if we're going to have a long run.
Race on a 145-lap race. It's just all about the strategy for these drivers, and especially for even these leaders. You talk about it, Michael Henry's going to try and pull a bigger gap. He's already just about a second ahead of Corey Cook, which is already very impressive.
Yeah, you say pull a bigger gap. He's got a pretty big one already as he's trying to pull away of these race leaders right now. Or this second place driver in this group, I should say. But yeah, he's got a decently sized gap, doing a great job holding on to it. And Corey Cook, I wonder if Corey Cook's trying to just hold back with that race car. I think that's definitely a possibility we're seeing here. Because, you know, Corey's got a fast car, but no sense for Corey to be using up his stuff right now. And I think that might be part of it. We saw him earlier, Jacob, on the initial start here. We saw Corey how fast he got away, which makes me believe he's just trying to hold back. Because remember, he started 5th, and in about, you know, half a second, not even, wound up in 2nd place.
Exactly, yeah, he's got pace for sure, just like you said, on that initial restart really proved how much pace he's got. He's just, of course, going to look like he's going to save it just a little bit. But, of course, as you do that, you are allowing the leader to just get more and more of a race lead. But, of course, we all know it's a long race. We're going to probably see more cautions. So, in his mind, this is probably a good strategy of just to hang back.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you notice one driver starting to creep through the field, Vern Bradley. Now, Vern Bradley posted the pole, but he went to the back of the field on the initial start. And we're 14 laps in. He has came back up to 4th place. I tell you what, of any driver that might win this race, Vern Bradley might potentially win it here tonight. Granted, not in the running for a championship, but if he was, I'd have him locked in as my champion already. That 114 is fast, and while he may not win a championship, he may just win the race.
Yeah, exactly. And just going to head back to actual, of course, NASCAR, from every single year that they've had this chase format, basically the playoff format to be exact. Every single year, the champion has won the final race. So it would be very impressive to see, of course, yes, Vern Bradley win the race, but of course now it's all up to all his top 4 drivers who's going to be in that lead, basically who's going to be the lead of the rest of the drivers. So that's just going to be an interesting factor, and it's going to play into more of a position than having to win.
Well, right now it is Michael Henry, your race leader, and you talk about the chase drivers winning the race and the championship. Right now, that wouldn't happen, and even Vern wouldn't win the race. But Ricky Fagon, if this race were to end right now, would be your champion, but look at who's climbing up through the field, Jacob. It is Stephen Blankenship, second highest chase driver. And you remember what he said in his interview, Jacob?
I think it was something like, I don't think I'll probably win this title. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't think I have.
Spot on. We asked him, if folks, if you're just joining us, we were talking to Steve Blankenship. He's one of the 4 drivers, along with Ricky Fagone, Glenn Jameson, and Jared Cox, and you know, those drivers competing for a championship. But we talked to Steve Blankenship, you know, before the race, and I asked him, I said, well, what do you think your chance of winning a championship? Stephen Blankenship's answer was, well, I don't think I'm going to. Right now, we're 20 laps into this race, and Steve Blankenship is running down, not only running down, but running faster than Ricky Fagone. And he might, and you know, if he got in front of him, he would be the points leader and would win the championship if he were to finish there. My point in that, don't count yourself out until the race is over, because you might just have a better car than your competitor.
Yeah, exactly. But I would just have to say one thing. It is early in the race, so it's all about having a long-run race car, because you never know how the track might change. You talk about it too. This race started about with 70 degrees Fahrenheit on the racing temperature on the racetrack. It is now up to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, so the track is heating up with, of course, these cars going around the racetrack, and as well as it is also gripping up too.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing. I agree with you 100%. A long-run car is important, but you talk about that. Well, Ricky Fagone, he started 3rd place, and you know what, Jacob? Ever since I think about lap 10, he's kind of steadily been falling back, and I don't think it's because he's trying to conserve his tires, because we saw him aggressively going for 2nd earlier in this race. I think he's eating the car up too early. As he's fallen back to 7th right now, more than 3 spots back of where he started. And other chase drivers, you talk about Blankenship, but next on that chopping block is going to be Jared Cox. Granted, Jared's still a little bit ways back, but you know, my point stands is that I think Ricky is just kind of going through the field, going through his tires a little too quickly, as you look at Steve Seeger starting to work on him for position.
Exactly, and I think what also happened, just like he said, more short runs, we're going to get a lot more caution laps on these tires. So I'm going to be safe if I do push my race car just a little too much. Now, of course, in this tire model, the way that I've felt with these race cars is that it's kind of, you have that one time where it feels like the tires are starting to wear, and so you try to save just a little bit of your racing tires, and then all of a sudden it's like these tires have a second life, and they come back alive, and you start to feel at least a little bit of the laps get a little quicker, and you start to reel people in. Now that, of course, could also be because they're starting to run on their own tires, and the tire wear is starting to become a factor for everybody, but that's kind of what I felt in these race cars.
Yeah, you know, that's not a bad point to make there. I think you got a good point on that, but you don't want to have to rely on other people having their tires wear out, especially when you're running for a championship. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely, for sure. Yeah, you want to have your speed. You want to know exactly how much you can save, as well as going fast. So, of course, he thought he could probably do a little bit of that. And, yeah, it's very difficult to rely on other people because, well, normally that does not work in events like a sporting event like racing or just in general.
Yeah, without a doubt. And let's take a look at the battle for the lead, because Michael Henry has been unchallenged for 25 laps, but probably much to his displeasure, that is going to end very shortly. Vern Bradley has ran him down from the back of the field. I tell you what, Vern is on a next level compared to these drivers. And here we go. New race leader, Michael Henry, concedes the spot. I don't even think there was a competition there. He probably saw that 114 coming up behind him and said, okay, I know he's going to be faster. Vern Bradley, of course, making a Pro Series bid, this season. And he's been doing pretty good in that, in the road to Pro Series, I should say. And he's been doing very good at that this season and all that. So it's no surprise when he comes out and races in these cars, he is fast. And of course, you go back to season 1, he won the season 1 championship, and he's just an incredibly fast driver in any car you put him in, but especially in these K&N cars, Jacob.
Yeah, most definitely, as we do have a caution, so that will bunch everybody back up, and most likely everyone will go down pit lane to put on 4 fresh tires.
I think John Senu threw the dog leg, spun out all by his lonesome. And you know what? I think that's a perfect time for a caution. We went, almost 30 laps green there? And we'll go green, just about 100 laps to go. I think that's perfect, Don't have to worry about green flag pit stops. Everyone gets to reset, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, of course, probably what Ricky Fagon and a lot of other drivers like him, were wanting. Because, of course, you push a little too much and it can just be dangerous on your racing tires and on the race. So a perfect time for everyone, because now they don't even have a chance to get lapped, as of course Vern Bradley took the race lead. So yeah, they'll go back down pit lane and reset from there.
Yep, and we'll talk to Vern. We'll try and get excuse me, allergies. We'll try and get a word in with Vern Bradley right after these guys pit. I tell you, man, though, he has just been impressive all night.
Most definitely, indeed. To get into the race lead, I mean, Vern Bradley right there, and then, yeah, just the top 5 have also been very impressive, all the way up to even 6th place. I mean, Steve Blankenship, we'll see where he comes out on this pit stop, if he'll be able to gain a spot, as that's sometimes what happens.
So right now, out and away, Vern Bradley holds on to the race lead. Let's talk to Vern Bradley. I'll let you get the word in with him. And can we bring him up in here? It appears we cannot. So perhaps no word in with Vern Bradley. And we'll take it to a quick caution cam, then we'll be right back. Back live, Jacob Young bringing us to the green flag.
All right, that sounds great. Your race leader, Michael Henry, on the outside. Corey Cook in third position, so he'll have the inside line too. We'll see which lane is the better one as the pace car is down and away. All up to Vern Bradley now, and it looks like we're back racing here at Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah, Vern Bradley got a great start. Side by side as they go for the race lead. I tell you what, though, Vern Bradley, I think he's got the better car, and don't forget he's got the bottom line, which of course is going to make a huge difference in this battle, but not for long. Caution flag out again. Looks like, oh man, I think Jared Cox is in it. Did he avoid it? Yes, he did. What a job. Glenn Jameson, though, unfortunately. So Leandro Castro got himself around. Looks like Steve Seegers and him might have made contact. Glenn Jameson, collateral damage, and I tell you what, man, Glenn's gonna have to use that fast repair because guess what happened? His axle decided to check out. So we'll be right back. As they say, cautions breed cautions. Back live here, Jacob Young getting us with the green, and pretty much the same lineup we had on the last restart.
Yeah, exactly. Very exciting. Vern Bradley once again on the low line, and Michael Henry on the outside. Pace car down and away. We're back racing here at Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah, good restart there for both drivers. Michael Henry, I tell you what, he held with Vern Bradley good last time. But it'll be the question of if he can hold with him and get his lead back. What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, for sure, he'll be able to get his. I think he'll be able to get his lead back as well. But what he, in my opinion, needs to do, yeah, exactly, is single it out and try and go for the kind of over-under as he's doing right now. He's got to stick to the Kevin Harvick line, as they would call it, right on the inside. He's going to use a lot of the dog leg, as both Vern Bradley is, but that's exactly what he needs to do. And now he'll probably just calm it down a little bit and ride behind him for a bit.
And right now, 41 laps into this race, Vern Bradley, your new race leader, Gregory Ruark, running around Steve Seegers, Leo Lortz, caution out, Ryan W. Daniels got tagged by Ruark, Daniels into the outside wall. Bad luck there for Ryan Daniels. Looks like he's probably going to have to take a fast repair. And once again, we'll be right back. And Jacob Young will get us with the green flag when we go green. I think we'll get the one to go next time by. I tell you what, this has been a pretty exciting race so far, but you know, the saying, cautions breed cautions, it has rang very true here tonight, as we've had, I think, what, 2 in a row? 3 in a row, potentially?
Yeah, exactly. It's just, of course, drivers being able to get stacked up. And then on restarts, I mean, Vern Bradley has done a fantastic job of going basically when the pace car has gone in, so it hasn't been as bad for the pack to basically just stack up a little bit. But I think it's a lot it has to do a lot of just drivers wanting to get to the inside lane. That's where the grip has been, and that's where the speed has been, especially on the corners. It's very difficult to run with somebody on the high line going too wide on a daily basis, or just basically just going too wide on a regular time.
Well, we'll see how it all plays out. 45 out of 145 complete, 100 laps to go at the stripe.
Exactly, should be a fun 100 lap shootout basically here at Phoenix Raceway. Still plenty of racing to go. Pace car down and away. It's on the throttle. We're back racing here at Phoenix Raceway.
Vernon Bradley, not a bad restart there. No surprise there, but look at Steve Blankenship, Corey Cook, Ricky Fagone. This is where the battle is, folks. This is the championship battle. Look at Jared Cox. He's right behind Fagone. Actually, he's fallen way back on that high lane that 27 car has. Actually, you know, it's kind of interesting to see. One of the drivers said that he wouldn't have a chance at the hunt. He has become one of the top competitors in it, although Blankenship has fallen back at Ricky Fagone just a little bit now, about one car separating the two of them. That one car being the 02 Leandro Castro.
Exactly, Steve Blankenship. He lost it on turns 3 there for a second.
Blankenship turned around by Steve Seegers. No damage.
I was about to say, he did save it before.
Oh, and he towed. He didn't. Oh, man, that killed him. I don't know why. Well, I know why he towed, because he wanted to clear the car off the racetrack, but man, I was about to say, if he didn't tow there, Jacob, he would have had no issues, could have kept going.
He definitely could have kept going if he didn't have any issues, for sure. So bad luck. That'll be, what, about a 2-minute tow or something like that. And then, of course, if he hasn't used his fast fix,
well, he doesn't have any damage. He didn't get hit. But the tow is what killed him, because, you know, he towed to clear the car off the racetrack because he didn't want to get hit. But like you said, that's a 2-minute tow. Thereabouts. He is 2 laps down.
He will be 2 laps down. 1 lap down still, according to iRacing, but he'll come back around, or the field will come back around and will lap him once again. So he'll be the only car multiple laps down, with, of course, Ryan Daniels 1 lap down, as a couple of drivers deciding to pit, as Vern Bradley and the 10 car of Ricky Fagone decide to stay out.
Yeah, the problem here, of course, though, for Steve Blankenship, though, he's the only car multiple laps down. That still means Ryan needs to get his wave, which there he goes. He's gotten it here, I think, and yes, he does. But now he's going to be, I think it should say 3 laps down for Blankenship now. You know, potentially 3 laps down, and I don't think we're going to get that many more cautions with only him being off the lead lap. I don't think he can make up that 3-lap deficit.
You're probably right on that. I would have to guess that will be the case, but as long as he can get a couple of laps, a couple of laps back, because we all know he's going to be still about 3 to 4 laps down.
He's going to be 4 down unless that car goes right now, because they just started servicing it. He's out and away. He'll be 2 laps down, it looks like, according to my monitor.
As the leaders cross the start-finish straight, it looks like he will stay 2 laps down, so it's not as bad as we thought. But of course, it's not the best situation that you would want, for sure, yeah.
He's got to hope for back-to-back cautions right here, and he's got to hope to not be a part of them. Because if he gets back-to-back cautions, he'll get the wave around both times, in theory. But this has the potential to have ended his championship hopes. And I hate to say that because we were watching this race here, Jacob, and I tell you what, again, for a guy that said, well, I don't think I have a chance to win this title, up until this point, he was I would say, was running better than that 10 car was. I mean, up until this point, I would say Blankenship looked like he had probably the best chance to win that title right now.
Yeah, he definitely did. And this altered his chances of winning the championship at the moment. Like you said, he has to hope for back-to-back cautions, has to hope that that was not necessarily the last one where it could kind of spiral. As we've said before, cautions do breed cautions. They are stacked up once again. It's going to be interesting, less and less laps to go, so they're going to be more aggressive, and I think that's where the cautions are coming from, is just being aggressive on restarts, trying to, of course, pass. You feel like you have fresher tires or more speed than the other driver at the start of a restart, so it is possible that he might get his lap back.
Yeah, right now, we'll see what happens. Again, you know, he's probably hoping 2 quick cautions. That's all he needs. I hate to say it, but I don't see it happening. Not back-to-back. Green flag back in the air. Vern Bradley out and away. Ricky Fagone up to second now.
Yeah, very impressive move, able to take the spot away from Michael Henry. Of course, Henry was holding second place for a long time. He was one of the drivers that did decide
3 wide there.
to pit, so he's got fresher tires.
They were 3 wide towards the back of the field for a moment. That was Leo Lortz that had gotten 3 wide. And that was through the dog leg. And you notice side by side Michael Henry. Michael Henry gets by Ricky. And you said he's on fresh tires. No surprise to see him make that pass then. Pretty tight racing there. Greg Ruark trying to make the pass as well. Looks like Ruark got a little bit loose off the corner there. He'll hold on to the race car.
That's been one of the key spots of a lot of drivers getting loose. I think that's why we've seen a lot of contact around there. Just drivers getting loose and, of course, running into other drivers for sure, trying to save the race car. Talk about one of the drivers, the 8 car of CK Blankenship. That's one of the spots where he did get loose and lost a bit of ground. Of course, now he's 2 laps down, but that's a totally different story. So that is a dangerous spot, of course, to lose the race car.
And right now, you know, I think Ricky's got a pretty good shot at winning this championship, but I think one thing's for sure, I don't think we'll see the champion win this race. I think the winner of the race is going to be someone outside of that championship 4. Right now, 57 out of 145 laps in. Everyone's starting to get spread out now, so Blankenship in, you know, like I said, I think he's going to stay 2 laps down, you know?
And definitely, now they're going back. They're spreading back out, and that's a key part of having a long green flag run. Just like we had at the start of the race, about a 30-lap green flag run, just about. That was exactly why we were able to spread out every single driver, basically. Of course, there was still battling going on, but that is always the key. The single file, you're not necessarily battling going too wide, so that's why I think we'll see a longer green flag run once again in less and less time for Steve Blankenship to get back in this title fight.
Yeah, he still needs 2 cautions, and I hate to say that because you look at him, he's got a fast race car under him, but it's just, I mean, you know, not in a good place for him at the moment. The question now, though, do you think Jared Cox or Glenn Jamieson has a chance to win this title? I think Jared Cox definitely does. We're watching him in 9th place right now. He's got a car, a decent car. He's just got to be able to maintain that car.
Definitely does have to maintain that race car for sure. You see, he's got a little bit of damage, and I guess what I mean by that is it just looks like he's rubbed the wall or rubbed a different car on his inside, his left side panel, basically, and so that's not necessarily a great thing. But just like you said, he's got some speed. He's trying to fight Leandro Castro, trying to get back to his bumper and maybe, of course, make a move.
So 61 laps in, and they're, you know, the front of the field's pretty spread out, but they are pretty tight together here about midfield. Look at Ricky Fagone just ahead of John Senu, and look at the wiggle John Senu got. What a save by that 86 car as he's battling Leandro Castro. Castro a little bit better into that corner after Senu having to gather up his race car. Remember Senu having that one win many seasons ago at Pocono. I think still looking for win number 2, although I might be incorrect on that. But I remember he got that one win at Pocono.
Exactly, an impressive save for sure. Once again, gets a little bit of wiggle through turn 4. So an impressive save for him to try to, of course, gain some more time. But it's very difficult, just like these drivers said. It is a slick racetrack, even though it is at night, 80 degrees Fahrenheit on the track temperature. So not the hottest that we've ever seen, but for sure it is making the drivers struggle just a little.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, you watch Senu, he's getting bad loose off those corners. I mean, especially off of 4 there. You watch the way he runs it right up to the wall, Jacob, and the back end of that race car just looks like it steps out on him. You know, the rear wheels just break traction. I don't know if it's down to just the way he's coming off, if he's putting too much gas into it or what, but that car, just watch it here, Jacob. You'll see what I'm talking about. Of course, the one time I talk about it, he doesn't do it.
Yeah, but you could tell that he wasn't necessarily trying to press the gas earlier. So he was just pushing the race car as much as possible and just hitting the accelerator a little bit too much, as in he's putting a little too much gas into it, just like you said before. So yeah, I've seen that from a couple of other drivers too throughout tonight. Of course, from his mistake, just trying to gain time. Sometimes gaining time, he's not necessarily trying to get it straightened out as fast as possible or putting gas into it. It's just trying to run a smooth race.
Yeah, 66 laps in, and everyone's kind of settled out right now. Good battle for, you know, 3rd place. Look at Steve Seegers. We haven't talked about him a lot tonight. Seegers has had a pretty good run here, I think.
Oh, he definitely has had a great run up in the top 5, 4th position to be exact. And he's only 2/10 away from Corey Cook. Corey Cook is going to try and, of course, kind of defend here from Steve Seegers. But Seegers, he's just kind of pushing the race car and not necessarily being too aggressive on it. He's just gaining some time.
Yeah, that's going to be the hard thing, though, for Corey Cook to do, is just defend on Seegers. I think Seegers has got the faster race car. You look at the lap times, that lap Corey Cook was quicker, but I think Seegers overall, I think, is a little bit quicker, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to hold him off. Right now, coming to 70 laps into this race here and just a lap down. Tell you what, Vern Bradley still holding on to the race lead. Again, I think he's got this race win kind of locked up.
From Bradley, it looks like he does, but I'm going to flash back to Darlington when these drivers... when these drivers went to Darlington, they had the time there, had the race lead for a long time, and then, of course, just had a little bit of bad luck, and I believe had a lap car play a factor into him getting that race win, and it ended up going to somebody else. So hopefully, of course, that does not happen for Vern Bradley.
Yeah, right now just watching Vern Bradley lapping this track. He's doing a fantastic job of it. So, Jacob, 73 laps to go. When do you think these drivers are going to pit next?
It didn't look like they were going to pit anytime soon. We had that caution when they did about a 30-lap green flag run. So if I had to guess, I'll probably try and stretch it to 40 laps on these tires for especially the drivers who pitted at that last caution. That is the difference maker here, is pitting at that caution. And why I bring that up is because, like the leader, Vern Bradley, he did not. 10 car of Ricky Fagon, he's in 7th position. He did not pit on that last caution too. So a lot of these drivers will probably see a little bit of different strategy play out, as in Vern Bradley will probably go down pit lane in about 10 laps or so, and we'll see other drivers maybe 15 to 20 laps pit or decide to go down and pit.
So, yeah, right now I think that's definitely a good prediction to make. We watch Ricky Fagon trying to work the back end, and Leandro Castro. Hal Amy having a good run, 8th place run here tonight. What do you think of that for Hal?
For Hal Amy, yeah, it's a great run. Of course, he started 6th position, but he is in 8th position, really just hanging out in that exact place, and he's kind of saved up his stuff. He's gonna try to make a move probably in a lap or two from Ricky Fagon, so that's going to be a big move for him to try and, of course, pass one of the championship contenders.
Ricky Fagon having a great run right now. Hal Amy trying to get by him, as you mentioned.
Indeed, Vern Bradley, your race leader. Corey Cook in 2nd position, and he is actually getting caught by the 16 car Steve Seegers. Seegers up to 3rd place past Michael Henry, and Henry, of course, sits in 4th position too, with, of course, Leandro Castro in 5th and Ricky Fagon in 6th position. So it's been a very tight race, just like we talked about. Little battle going on with Ricky Fagon in the front. Isn't too far behind, and I believe that was Ricky Fagon down pit lane. He'll get 4 fresh tires and, of course, some Sunoco race fuel, and he'll be back out and away and gain some positions right back. And so now you're starting to see the different strategies with these drivers. Vern Bradley will be on the same strategy, of course, as Ricky Fagon, but Ricky Fagon, just like we talked about in the early going of the race, he did use up his tires a lot more than the field. He dropped back. Talked about from where he started to where he'll be now. Of course, first car that has gone down pit lane and has pitted, he'll step in about 13th place. So go a lap down, but as that cycles out, he will not be a lap down much longer. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. Corey Cook, your race leader, is Vern Bradley down pit lane. So just like we said, just like I said, I believe for most of the field, they will go down pit lane about 5 more laps after or so, because that's kind of when their pit window really starts to open up, because they can go a little bit longer, especially with the fuel, and they'll have fresher tires for the end of this race. 83 laps in to this 145 lap championship round here at Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah, 84 laps into this race. Corey Cook currently leads the show. Leandro Castro down pit lane. Leo Lurtz joining him. So it is green flag pit stops. How do you think the championship runners are going to play this one, Jacob?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, because now we're starting to see Hal Amy down into pit lane. Of course, yes, not championship contender, but a lot of them pitted on that last caution. So if I had to guess, it's going to be about 3 more laps at least from now for them to go down pit lane. They're going to have fresher tires, especially for the end of this race.
Yeah, so 85 laps in, and the top 3 under a blanket. The question is now, do you think we see a driver get involved in a crash during this cycle of caution of pit stops, as we so often do in a lot of other races?
That is very possible. Pit lane isn't necessarily that tricky, but you can decide to really just go as hard as you can and brake as hard as you can right at pit lane to try to maximize the time lost in basically your pit stops, because that is a main thing of how normally leaders and drivers do get passed. So they'll have to be careful on that note for sure.
Yeah, 87 laps in, top few spots there, still have not pitted, about 5th on up. At the moment, Jared Cox, highest running chase driver. I tell you what, if we got a caution now, that would flip the entire chase on its head for Jared, I would say.
It definitely would, for sure. Of course, he could go down pit lane with a lot of other drivers, too, that had not pitted for this green flag pit stop. It wouldn't be the worst situation for him, considering, well, where he's at the moment, and he could gain some positions as well.
Yeah, without a doubt, if he plays this pit strategy right, he can definitely make something happen out of it. He gets down onto pit lane. Good pit entry. Looked like the back of that car wanted to step out when he came off the racing surface, Jacob. I don't know if you caught that, but he did a good job holding on to it either way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that not a lot of people touch up on, but considering from the racing surface to basically the apron, it is just so much slicker, considering that's where all the marbles are and just the dirt and grime from all these race cars. That's where it basically is, and it just gets very difficult to go down pit lane and be able to stay still. You have that happen a lot at ISM Raceway. So if that's another place, of course, that'll be here, but you have it also happen a lot at the Brickyard, is what I was trying to say too. And Yeah, that's just something to think about for sure. We might have a caution happen because one driver just gets a little loose going into pit lane.
Yeah, without a doubt. And 91 out of 145 in. Do you think that was the final pit stop of the night?
It could possibly be the final pit stop of the night for sure. It's going to be very close, but I believe how long these drivers have gone on one set of tires and, of course, one tank of fuel, basically. Yes, I do believe that they could go all the way to the end.
Well, the top three still haven't pitted. I think Steve Seegers, rather, diving down pit lane right now. That leaves Michael Henry and Corey Cook still out on the speedway. If anything, those two drivers are definitely trying to make this only a three-stop race. I question whether or not, say, Vern Bradley, one of the first drivers to pit, I think he might have to pit again. But the other guys, I think they might be good till the end.
Yeah, exactly. It would be Vern Bradley and the tin car of Ricky Fagon. They're on the same strategy, really. So they would most likely have to pit again. And to talk about it, Ricky Fagon at the moment is on the wrong pit strategy. Now, of course, most likely we will see a caution flag fly closer to the end of this race. Talk about maybe with 20 or so to go, we could probably see a caution, and that could change everything.
Yeah, Corey Cook elects to stay out one lap longer than Michael Henry did. Vern Bradley re-inherits the race lead after that, or he probably will when Corey Cook finishes his stop up. So everyone kind of getting their lap back as we cycle through. I tell you what, man, great pit strategy, though, I think, for those guys that pitted late, because I think that might have potentially won them the race.
Most definitely indeed. Yeah, the later that they were able to pit, the fresher their tires are going to be over the whole field, and we've seen how much that has mattered tonight. Some race tracks, especially later in the race, it doesn't matter that much because the tires just don't come into play. They don't heat up well enough for, stuff like that. And so tonight, though, that is a totally different scenario, and that really can affect your race the way, of course, that you treat your tires here, and that has been the key.
And right now, 96 laps in here. Just a handful of laps to go, and Vern Bradley leads by 10 seconds over Greg Ruark as a result of that pit cycle. But look at Leandro Castro. He is around some pretty stiff competition right now. Michael Henry and Steve Seegers, I don't think he's going to be able to hold him off for very long.
I think you're probably right on that. Yeah, Michael Henry looks like he'll try and he'll be able to get that position at a couple of laps. And it's the same thing with Steve Seegers. He's right there to pick up the pieces just in case they do make contact or just race each other a little too much and lose more time. And look who's also behind Steve Seegers too. I believe that's Corey Cook, not too far away from the picture.
Yeah, and you see right there, you got Michael Henry makes the pass, and as you said, yeah, Corey Cook putting himself into contention. Now, these are the three drivers that pitted last, and here they are trying to make a bid at the, third, fourth, and fifth. Here's going to be the problem, though. They're banking on this race going green to the end, and it won't. Steve Seegers turned around by Corey Cook. I was about to say, if we have a caution, that throws their entire strategy out the window because they get to pit again.
Exactly, and guess what? I believe everybody will come down pit lane to get 4 fresh tires.
No doubt.
And so that everybody's going to be on a level playing field.
Yeah, no doubt, fresh tires around. I don't see any point in staying out when you have the opportunity because who knows, we might go green 46 to the end. The one driver that this is going to hurt the most, you guessed it, Steve Blankenship. He's still 2 laps down, but Leo Lortz and Joseph Andujar, well, they're only a lap down, and Ryan Daniels is 2 laps down as well. Blankenship, 16th place, last place in the field. Though, I will say, all 16 cars that started this race here tonight, Jacob, are still running, and hey, that's pretty impressive with 45 laps to go.
Yeah, that is very impressive indeed. They have been very lucky because we've had a couple of drivers who, as they just didn't necessarily, they had a lot of damage, but with that fast fix, we're able to get the car down pit lane and still be able to fix their race car. It tells you how skilled these drivers are too. We've only had so many caution laps and only so many cautions. Yes, of course, we had a lot of back-to-back cautions, but that was just drivers being a little too aggressive, and they were able to calm it down. That's why we had this super long green flag run.
And right now, 101 laps into this race, and I would be willing to bet money on the fact that Steven Blankenship's probably going to stay out here because he needs the wave around. He knows he needs the wave around, and yes, he does stay out. And you know what? That doesn't put him back on the lead lap, but you know what it does, Jacob? He's only going to be a lap down now. He can fight for that lucky dog.
Exactly, and that is going to be key for him to try and fight for that lucky dog to get back in, just to get back in this race too. He's got the right strategy. The only problem is, of course, his tires. Can he get another almost quick caution right afterwards to maybe, of course, get that lucky dog and also be able to get 4 fresh tires? That is the toughest part about all this. Yes, he didn't pit too long ago, but at that same time, it's still going to put a little bit of a problem in his plans.
And right now, 102 laps into the race. Who do you think's going to win here tonight?
Well, yeah, it's been a crazy battle up front here. Michael Henry's going to lead us to the green, and Vern Bradley's going to be on the outside. So if I had to guess, I mean, it's really anybody's game, but I could see Leandro Castro actually winning this race.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. I mean, you know, it's a long shot, but he has had decent speed here tonight. He's definitely had a decent amount of speed. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. You know, if we had the right kind of thing play out, cautions, that kind of thing, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him win this race.
Yeah, exactly, and it helps that he's on the inside line and not necessarily on the outside line where the 10 car, like Ricky Fagone is, and of course Vern Bradley are. That's where we've seen a couple of drivers lose positions tonight. So that's why I would see him probably being able to fight up front, maybe even take the lead away from Michael Henry.
Well, I'll let you get the green here. Just 42 laps to go.
All right, 42 laps to go. Just like you said, pace car down and away. All up to Michael Henry now. We're back racing here at Phoenix Raceway.
And good restart for these guys. They are side by side for the lead. And a pretty, I thought they were 3 wide for a second there. It looked like the 10 car went 3 wide for a moment. So these guys getting pretty dicey early on. And I tell you what, Blankenship's in that lucky dog spot. He's probably hoping for him to get pretty dicey. 104 laps in here, and it looks like right now Vern Bradley no longer your race leader. That has got to be a first in about more than half the race, I think, for Vern. Hal Amy trying to get by Seegers, and he does. Well, not quite yet. Steve Seegers on that outside lane got a little bit of burst of speed there.
Exactly, the big thing was he was able to get by John Senu. So now Hal Amy, just like you said, trying to get by Seegers, but Seegers has had a ton of speed, even though, of course, he got a little bit of damage from that last caution that has not slowed him down one bit. He's looking like he will be able to gain a lot more time and even try and pass John Sinu, who's not that far in front.
Yes, Senu has got a pretty good race car right now, but it looks like it is not good enough to hang with Steve Seegers, unfortunately. Stuck up on that outside lane, Seegers makes the pass with little effort. So right now, 107 laps in, and Steve Seegers, you know, there's a dark horse pick. I wouldn't be too surprised if he wound up making it happen. Steve Seegers has had a fantastic car tonight.
Well, he definitely has, for sure. He's in 5th position, catching Ricky Fagon. Fagon just hasn't had the specialty here tonight. He's just been off pace just by a little bit, not by too much, but for sure. Seegers has really been able to come from behind and be in the top 5 and try and push for maybe even the top 3.
Al Amy's stuck in the outside wall there for about half that front straightaway, going to stack everyone up. I don't know what happened at 3, but nothing good is the answer. As he looks like he'll fall back quite a bit. Right now, Michael Henry still holds on to the race lead, and he holds on to the tune of about a full second. So he's holding on to it pretty well right now, I must say.
Definitely been able to hang on to the race car. It's been a fantastic job from him, and just, of course, he's got to keep it out of trouble and make sure that he doesn't spin it. Like we said before, 80 degrees Fahrenheit the track temperature, and it's been very slick out tonight, even when the track has been gripping up. So it's been very interesting to watch these drivers really have to manage their race cars, manage their tires, and not let spin their tires.
Yeah, side by side, Ricky Fagon, Steve Seegers, and I tell you what, I think Fagon right now, he's in a good place to win this championship. Just let Seegers by. There's no sense in trying to battle for that spot if he doesn't need to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. A great job from Ricky Fagon, knowing exactly where his opponents are, too. That's one thing about iRacing that you've got to enjoy. You know where every driver is around you. You have that relative. It helps you out a ton, especially in a championship race like this. He knows how much he needs to push. He doesn't need to push too much, as long as, of course, he just brings it back in one piece and basically in the top 5.
And right now, 113 out of 145 laps complete. Do you think we go green to the end here?
I don't think that we go green to the end here. I think there's still at least maybe 1 or 2 more cautions to go. We talk about it getting closer and closer to the end. Probably 15 to 10 laps to go. We'll probably see maybe our final caution of the night. It's just trying to fight for every single position, whether, of course, you're in this championship hunt or not. I just expect there to be at least 1 more caution.
And right now, 114 laps in. Vern Bradley closing down on the race lead. I don't think Michael Henry will be as willing to give it up as he was the first time, though, you know?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Michael Henry's going to want that race lead. He's going to continue to basically just battle it out for it. Now, of course, the big thing is, once again, you don't want to battle anybody too hard, no matter what kind of lap, of course, it is. It's 115 laps into this race. You have 145 laps to play with. So, yeah, not necessarily a lot, but as long as he knows that he has some speed, as he basically did a drift through turns 4.
Caution flag out, and you know what that means? It means Steven Blankenship is back on the lead lap and has a chance to win this championship again. Looks like the 16, Steve Seegers, he got loose off of turn 4. We've seen drivers do it all night. Seegers loose off the corner. Ah, John Senu got a piece of it. Man, that's unfortunate. I hate to see that. Senu was having a pretty good night. Yeah, Senu got hit hard, too. I hope Senu can continue because he was having a good night in that 86 machine. But yeah, Steve Seeger's gone around loose all of his own accord. And that means Stephen K. Blankenship, well, he is not out of the running yet. He'll have probably just like, 24 laps to go when we go green, and he's going to have to start from about 13th place. Well, right about where he is right now, Jacob. But hey, he's down, but he's not out. What a comeback story this might be.
Exactly, at 13th place. Once he gets his lucky dog back, they'll tell him, of course, he'll have to start from the rear of the field. But he'll first dive down pit lane to get at least 4 fresh tires. And he'll be back out and away. And, yeah, anything basically can possibly happen. Of course, this caution has come at about, 117, 118 now. Yeah, with still plenty of racing to go. I still think that we'll see at least one more caution, too. So it's just going to help him tremendously.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see just how this all plays out here. Well, we'll take it to a brief caution cam. We'll be right back. Joseph Andujar, your current race leader. Jacob Young going to get us with what might possibly be the final restart of the night. 25 laps to go, and all 4 chase competitors in this race and on the lead lap.
Should be very exciting indeed. Everybody from the chase, just like you said, on the lead lap. Joseph Andujar will lead us to the green. Michael Henry in second position on the outside line. Pace car down and away.
Green flag.
What might be the final time here, Phoenix.
Michael Henry got a great restart there. It's exactly what he needed to win this race, potentially. I'll tell you what, if Vern gets to his back bumper again, and you know he probably will, I don't think Henry's going to concede it like he did last time. You remember, all those laps ago, the first time Vern got to the back bumper, and probably, 20 laps into this race, and, Michael Henry just kind of moved over for him. I don't think that's happening this time, Jacob.
And most definitely, it's just over 20 to go. Another caution, though.
Hal Amy gone around. Looks like Jared Cox. Well, Jared's racing for a championship. He got a little overexcited, maybe trying to make that pass. Hal Amy, you know what? I think Hal probably thought he was clear because you watch here, Jacob. They were side by side, Hal up top. Jared holds his line on the bottom and Hal comes down. Hal Amy probably thinking he was clear and then, obviously wasn't, and they just met in the middle.
Just a little bit of racing incident there. But of course, just drivers racing hard for every position possible, especially Jared Cox wanting to get up to the big championship battle. So, yeah, I mean, Ricky Fagon still sits in a perfect position, but look at that. Jared Cox not too far behind. Even Steve Blankenship moves up into 11th position with this caution flag, so it's going to help him out. He's still going to be bunched up with other drivers. He'll still have to pass a couple of racers, but for sure, if he can get by Jared Cox and even Gregory Ruark, I think he's going to be in a good position.
Well, we'll see what happens in this final restart. We'll be right back here on ASN. $19 to go with the stripe. Jacob Young calling the green.
All right, this should be a fun and indeed. Michael Henry leads us back to the green. Vern Bradley on his outside. Corey Cook in third position. So this should be an interesting restart. The inside line has played a key factor in drivers getting the better launch, especially from the outside line. Of course, Vern Bradley still has plenty of time to get back to the back bumper just in case he does get past for third position. It will be interesting to hear. Pace car moves away from going down into pit lane, and there it goes. Henry now, and we're back racing for what could be the final time here at Phoenix.
Yeah, Henry needed that good restart. Corey Cook, Leandro Castro, Vern Bradley back to fourth, and they're wrecking in the back. Ricky Fagon is in it. Driver who's been, he's been the highest ranked chase driver all night. For the most part, there was that, for the period that Blankenship was leading, but it was for the most part Ricky. What happened to him? Looks like he got tagged there by the 38. Ruark and Blankenship involved. Blankenship got very little, no damage out of it, though. They all checked up there, and, when they checked up, Blankenship got a piece of it. But it looks like Blankenship gets very little damage. Looks like Ricky Fagone also very little damage, if any, to that 10 and to that 8 car. So both of those drivers still very much in it. But you know what? This flips everything on the head, because you know who the highest running chase driver is now, Jacob? It is Glenn Jamieson. It goes Glenn, Blankenship, Cox, and then Ricky Fagone. And Ricky's coming down pit lane. So it'll stay in that order. I tell you what, this is the first time tonight we've seen Glenn Jamieson, the highest running chase driver. This might have been the break he was looking for.
Most definitely, and that is just crazy to think once again. I mean, yeah. Look at this. I mean, Ricky Fagone was, just like we talked about, was at the top. Was at the top as can be. And then, of course, now he's back in about 12th position. And then, well, Steve Blankenship finds himself kind of in second position. So this is just getting crazier and crazier.
$16 laps to go here. We'll go green probably with about 13 to go. Man, I tell you, if you were to pick a champion right now, it's going to be hard, but who would you have to pick?
I think it is the driver who has come from the back of the field, who has had to have a little bit of struggle. That is Blankenship. I know that a couple of, like Glenn Jamieson is up there in 6th position, but you talk about his comeback story. I think this is a caution flag that he definitely kind of needed and almost kind of wanted for everybody just to get stacked back up and for him to gain a couple of positions just in case on a restart. You talk about it. Yeah, he will be on the outside line if I had to guess, but if he gets to the inside as fast as possible, he should be okay.
Yeah, no doubt there, but, if I'm going to pick a driver, I got to go with Steve Blankenship. He went from leading the show, getting wrecked, going 2 laps down, back to the lead lap, and now second highest chase running driver. I mean, it's hard to bet against the guy who's had everything go up, down, and in the middle. He's been everywhere, you know what I mean? And I tell you what, you talk about drivers that have been everywhere. Remember Carl Edwards winning the Southern 500 in 2016. I believe Edwards was a lap down at one point in that race.
Exactly. Crazier things have definitely happened in these races. So,
as usual,
yeah, looking forward to it for sure. Looking forward to how this will end.
As usual, Jacob Young calling the green.
All right, this should be exciting. Pace car down and away. And we're back racing here at Phoenix Raceway. Michael Henry with a fantastic start.
Good restart there for Michael Henry. Out and away. And we got a wreck. And Blankenship's in it, I think. And his hood's up. Man, if only he could race, the next 14 laps with his hood up. From everything seeming to start to go his way to everything turning around, Leandro Castro got turned around. Looks like he was loose, and then Vern Bradley finishing him off. And Blankenship, nowhere for him to go. So Steve Blankenship, he's gonna have to pit. And he's going to lose a lot of ground in doing so unless everyone decides, hey, you know what, I feel like going down pit lane, and I hate to say it, but I don't think that's going to happen, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We just haven't had necessarily enough green flag laps on these tires for them to really have made a difference.
And Blankenship, the lone driver down pit lane. Man, that's gotta hurt for him. He was in a position to potentially win it. Once again, that position gets snubbed. Maybe something happens. Maybe he gets a miracle play. His teammate down pit lane, that's Jared Cox, another chase driver. Can't forget about him. We haven't talked about him a lot tonight. But, you know, 2 of the 4 drivers right there down pit lane. They'll both be starting from a similar spot. Blankenship back down to 12th. He was pretty high up. Now it's going to be down to Glenn Jamieson and Ricky Fagone for the most part, I'd say. And there is going to be 2 cars separating them, really 1 car separating them when they go green. I tell you what, Jacob, this battle's far from over. I mean, far from over. It's
definitely far from over. It's going to be something that who knows what's going to really happen in the end here. It's all just, we could see another caution for sure. We could see some green-white checkers. It's going to be an exciting end to this one for sure. I mean, see, Blankenship, just like we said, yes, of course, he had that wreck. He's not necessarily out of it just yet, but that definitely hurt his chances big time. You talk about the odds of him winning the championship, it was probably a little bit more up when he was closer to Glenn Jamieson, and now, well, he got back down.
Well, yeah, right now, I wouldn't rule anything out. We still have 10 laps left. Phoenix is still a short track. Anything, and I mean anything, can still happen. Because, I mean, you know what? Glenn Jamieson, Ricky Fagone, they might be racing for the championship. They might get each other wrecked. I mean, Leandro pitted, so now they're starting 1-2 right behind each other.
Yeah, exactly, and that's going to be very interesting for sure. You talk about that. Just, yeah, that's going to be a little bit scary. And for sure, yeah, Fern Bradley liking the inside line, so he's going to try to push the 15 as much as possible. And if I were, of course, Michael Henry, I'd say, let me try and back up this field as much as possible and then go for it.
Well, we'll see what happens. I'll let you get the green here. It'll be Michael Henry bringing us down.
All right, once again, Michael Henry leading us to the green. On his outside, though, will be Corey Cook. Then you got Vern Bradley and Joseph Andujar to round out the 2 rows. Pace car down and away once again. Racing here at Phoenix Raceway. A fantastic getaway by Michael Henry.
Right now, Henry got a good start. Back to this chase battle, though. It looks like Ricky Fagone trying to get to the back of Glenn Jamieson. Like I said, far, far from over, and like you said too, Jacob, anything and everything is still on the table. 8 laps to go.
Jamieson at the moment just has that speed. He's got that speed on corner exits. We've just seen the way that Ricky Fagone has kind of raced his race car, and it's been really well. But just at lap times and the way that he's been really trying to force the wheel, it just seems like he's been passed more than, of course, being able to pass race cars. You see how big of a gap that is? That's about 6/10. So that's going to be a lot to close down, and he'll have to fend off Derek Robertson.
Yeah, but is that a big enough gap to hang on for 6 more laps? I don't know about that, but you are right. And they are beating and banging Leandro Castro and Hal Amy Look at this back here. Steven Blankenship gets by both of them. He wants to be a factor in this battle, but I hate to say it, I think with 6 laps to go, Blankenship's too far back right now, unless there's a caution.
Exactly, unless there is a caution.
Which is possible.
He exactly needs, yes, very possible. You just said it. They were beating him big and not too long ago, and that can cause caution considering how loose these race cars are. One bad move, one bad little bump can spin these cars right around. We've seen it at Talladega, and we've seen it here tonight.
Derek Robinson trying to get to the back of Ricky Fagone. Glenn Jameson trying to hold off Ricky Fagone 4 more times around till we crown a champion. This battle, there's what, 3 car lengths between the two of them? Like I said, far, far from over, folks. It ain't over till it's over, and there's still a lot of racing to go till it is. Battle for the lead's an impressively close one as well. Corey Cook looking to go to victory lane. Michael Henry trying for it as well. And they're on top of each other right now. So for the interviews tonight, we'll talk to our race winner, we'll talk to second place, and we'll talk to the champion. Vern Bradley got a little bit loose there. And Corey Cook is trying for the race lead, side by side. 2 laps to go right here, folks. Remember, green-white checker is still on the table. If they don't get to the white flag, they could have a GWC finish. Final lap of the race, this time by. And they will most likely get to the white. Coming to the white flag, it'll be Michael Henry, our race leader. And look at Ricky Fagone here, Jacob. This could be it. If he gets a good run into the bus stop, not the bus stop, the dog leg. The battle for the championship is not over. It's going to come down to turns 3 and 4. Who is going to win the championship through 3 and 4 for the last time? Michael Henry off of turn number 4. Well, he'll win the race, and the championship, it goes to Glenn Jameson. How about that?
What a race for sure, especially for that championship fight right there. Talk about it. 63 of Glenn Jameson. He almost got beat right there. You look back at that final lap through the dogleg, and the 10 car of Ricky Fagone had the run, but decided not to do anything with it. He had that space. He was going to almost dive bomb it, but decided to play it nice. And, well, he just will come up just a little short.
Yeah, just a little bit short there for Glenn Jameson. Or, not Glenn Jameson, I'm sorry, Ricky Fagone. Glenn, of course, you're a Season 5 champion. What a win. What a championship. Ricky Fagone just up a little bit short. And, of course, Steve Blankenship, you know what? He may not have won the championship, but, Steve, if you're watching, I want to give you a shout-out because you fought back from 2 laps down. You finished 3rd overall. And I tell you what, if he didn't have that last caution or that last crash with the O2, I think he might have had a shot at it. He had a real good car, but hats off to all these championship competitors because they all put on a great show here tonight. They all had a shot at it, but the man of the hour, it'll be Glenn Jameson. Let's get in a word with him first. Glenn, have you got a copy on me?
Hey, how you doing up there, Matt? Woo!
I am doing awesome, man. We talked to you earlier tonight. We asked you what your chances of winning the championship were. Evidently, they were really, really good because here we are talking to you. You are the Season 5 champion, my man.
I can't believe it. It hasn't sunk in. I swear to God, I can't believe it.
Well,
that's amazing.
I mean, you put on a great race there, and I mean, up until that final caution or the second to last caution there, when Fagone got spun out, you had not been the highest chase running car all night. You'd been kind of third, fourth place chase car, I think second at one point, but up until that point you weren't in the lead. Did you think you had a chance at winning the championship up until that point?
No, like I say, it was a tough competition here, and I knew Ricky was really good here. I knew he was going to be tough. He was up front all night. I was just trying to bide my time, and I thought, nah, I didn't even I figured, slow chances, slim chances, and man, right there at the end, I just stuck with it. My spotter, Bert Wilson, he was working with me, just keeping me calm, keeping me aware of what was going on, keep cool, and things just fell our way. You get lucky sometimes. Sometimes blind squirrel finds a nut, and I feel like I got lucky. These guys, real tough guys. This is a real honor.
Well, man, just great job on the championship. What else can I say? How did that car handle for you all night? That's the other big question.
The car was pretty good. We got caught up in something early on, and I thought, well, I'm just gonna have to take it easy now, and try and run the race out. It was pretty early in the race. On new tires, the car was a little loose. I think everybody was having the same trouble. It slid around a little bit, so you really had to back the corners up. But once you let the tires burn in after about 5 or 10 laps, started to really hook up good, and you could really start to make some time. Right there at the end with a lot of cautions on and off, it was kind of touch and go because you didn't have enough time really to get a lot of heat in the tires and get it running well, but it worked out.
All right, well, one final question for you, man. What does it mean to you to win a championship with this group of drivers and in this league?
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, this is so competitive week in and week out, week in and week out. You practice, everybody works hard. And just to represent these guys as a championship for this year and the champion arc of this year is just come a long way. It makes me feel really good. And I hope I honor these guys as a champion of the season. I try and race hard and clean and just, really respect these guys. And, I want to be a good champion for them. Good champion for WFO. What a great series. This is a great time. Anybody got a PC and a wheel out there, want to come race, you got to come race here because this is some of the best racing you'll find.
All right, well, one last question for you, of course. Any sponsors you want to thank, anyone you want to give a nice big shout out to?
Yeah, right on. So obviously can't do it without you guys in the booth, Matt. WFO Racing, they put these things on. We got some great officiating. Like I said, I got to thank Bert spotting for me tonight. Really kept me cool, calm. Evolution Motorsports. Really appreciate these guys. We work together now and again, and really got to say thanks to them as well. And then just thanks to all the competitors. Again, great group of guys. Tough, hard racing, but I really respect them all, and I just want to thank them. It's a great season.
All right, well, thank you for talking to us, man. Once again, congratulations on that championship. You put on a great show here tonight.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Woo! Time to celebrate. Let's go party.
All right, and next up, of course, it'll be Jacob Young, and he will talk to none other than Michael Henry, who wins the race here tonight after leading 69 laps. Take it away, Jacob Young.
All right, Michael Henry, how you doing?
Doing real good, guys. How y'all doing?
We're doing fantastic, especially after this race. You had a really tough battle throughout the whole night, trying to, of course, fend off Vern Bradley, even Corey Cook there. Take us through, of course, that final restart.
It was just a luck thing that we didn't spin the tires. Was starting in first gear all day, but never really got a chance to see how it would do under very worn tires. Just luckily we didn't spin tires. I think a couple of guys the last few restarts were having that problem, but it stayed underneath us, and Corey and Vern, they just gave a hell of a fight for that win. They wanted it just as bad as I did, but I guess I wanted it just a tick more.
Exactly. And so how's the car handling? You mentioned, of course, those worn tires. How's it handling all those long runs?
Everybody was complaining about loose, very, very loose off and loose off. I was actually more tight than anything else, but I guess Rusty Wallace always said a tight car will win more races than a loose car.
That is fantastic. And of course, I guess one last question that I got for you. Anyone that you'd like to thank?
Oh yeah, big shout out to Checker One Motorsports for getting me in this league. All my guys over at Turn Left Motorsports. all my real racing sponsors, Burger Roofing, Atkins Sandblasting and Painting, and my family that lets me do this goofy stuff.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations on the race win. Congratulations of course, topping off season number 5 with a final race win. Hopefully, we will be, of course, getting to go back in the booth talking with you guys season, and maybe we'll be talking to you in the final race as champion.
It'd be cool, that's for sure. That's the hope, Flo.
All right, last up on the interview block, it is second place finisher. That is Corey Cook. Corey, have you got a copy on me, man?
I sure do, Matt.
Man, I tell you what, you put on a great show here tonight. Just tell us about it.
A lot of sliding. It's almost like we were at a dirt track rather than an asphalt.
How did that? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
It's all right. I felt like that was the key to how you got up front, how you were the fastest, is how comfortable you were getting onto the throttle while spinning the car out. And obviously the 15, and doesn't really surprise me with that logic, because I honestly thought he was about to lose it a good many times throughout the race.
Yeah, how'd that car handle for you most of the night? And, what was your strategy to get in the finish that you managed to pull off?
Oh, on cold tires, it was just tight. I mean, you had to slow down really, a lot in the corners just to get the doggone thing to turn. But once they warmed up, then it's like the opposite. It's so slick. I about spun out coming out the dog leg a couple of times.
All right, well, anyone you want to thank, sponsors, that kind of thing?
You guys put it on, WFO for putting this lead together. I can't think of anything else off the top.
All right, well, thanks, Talk to us, man. Great job on the finish there.
Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this season as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. I tell you what, Jacob, this has just been a great show this season. These guys, whenever we broadcast these guys, they always put on a great show, but this season has been amazing. Before we sign off here, Jacob, anything you want to add?
Yeah, exactly. Really just adding. And this was for sure. Of course, we had some great racing at Talladega. I stepped into the booth. What was it? 3 races after this season had started, something like that. Of course, when the coronavirus hit, sadly. But other than that, it's always fantastic when I get to watch these drivers race. Up and down season for a lot of these drivers, but it turned out to be one heck of a championship fight.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, folks. Well, we hope you enjoyed tonight's race. And once again, congratulations to our champion, Glenn Jameson. And hats off to all the four drivers that were in this championship hunt. They all raced incredibly well. We'll see y'all in the next one.